this race this week at the LA Coliseum, the Clash, the third time around. It's the last year of the contract, Dustin. So I asked the question going into the break, what happens after this year?
It's so tough to say, right? Like, it is the final year of the contract, and I think that this will probably be the last one at the LA Coliseum. But it's going to be tough because we know the LA market's valuable to NASCAR, especially. But I say that, and obviously Auto Club Speedway, which isn't that far away, is now gone. Potentially coming back with the short track. Who knows in the future? But we got to get back in that market somehow. So I do tend to think that it's probably going to move next year. Where to? Who knows? I do like the idea of rotating it, but obviously the LA Coliseum is a little different in terms of the length and how the size of it, as opposed to, like, say somewhere like you try to get in New York City or New Jersey in the Meadowlands or somewhere like that. So yeah, I have no idea, and it's going to be fun to watch because it is an important race to kick off the year.
Jim, what are you thinking?
I sort of agree with Dustin. I think it would be good. I think at some point that it's going to be a good race to rotate to new and different venues. But my gut feeling is that it's going to stay at the LA Coliseum at least until NASCAR figures out what its option is going to be to stay, as Dustin pointed out, in the LA market. Because I don't think they want to abandon the LA market, specifically in part because of all the inroads they've made lately. I mean, that's in part why the next NASCAR Mexico Series is running a non-points invitational race this time around. And, it's the largest, I believe, Hispanic population center in the U.S. outside of Mexico. And I don't think they just want to go away. And so I think it stays at the LA Coliseum until whatever viable option presents itself in that area. And unfortunately, I don't see a lot of progress being made in terms of a short track at Auto Club Speedway. I saw a lot of stuff being taken down, but I don't see a lot of things being put up.
Yeah, a lot of destruction, not much construction.
Yeah, so I mean, I haven't even heard about a permit yet, and you know how things are in California. I mean, if you don't get started soon, it's got to, right now there's nothing. So even if it were to be approved like tomorrow, you're talking probably a year or more, right? I mean, at least. So I think they stay until there's another option.
Well, that's what I wonder when you look at this, and obviously the buzz the first year, Dustin, was monstrous for this event. Tons of buzz. And the second year, you can get a bump off of the first year, and people went, wow, that looked pretty cool. I need to go see it. So I think it's going to be interesting to see this time what kind of response it gets. And as expensive as it is to put this, to put the track in and tear it back up and put it back in the next year, at what point, I wonder, does NASCAR reach the point of diminishing returns?
And two, like renting out the LA Coliseum, that can't be cheap because it is such a prestigious venue. But yeah, I think this year is pivotal in terms of, because it is the final year of the contract, as we've mentioned a couple times, and how the turnout is, how Saturday looks. Obviously there was a big uproar about that a couple weeks ago, and then how the event sells for Sunday. So, like you said, Brett, the first year there's a ton of momentum behind this, a ton of uniqueness, and then as with anything in life, it wears out over time. So we'll have to see how this year, and I think it is a pivotal year, if they want to renegotiate for another deal or another year. And like Jim said, up until, there's a presence somewhere in that market, whether it's Auto Club or wherever.
Jim, I mean, that's the thing. And we see it with sponsorships. When a sponsor will stick around for a certain amount of time, and then they feel like they've reached the point of diminishing returns.
Right.
And at some point, I think NASCAR's got to look at this. But I agree with you. I think NASCAR doesn't want to abandon the LA market, but I don't know what the options are in the LA market if they leave the Coliseum. I mean, people talk about Irwindale, great little facility, but I said it's a little facility, and there's like virtually no parking around there.
I think, here's the thing. I think NASCAR was already realizing that, and which got to get on a soapbox here in a second, about the way that this weekend was planned. all of it, it was planned as a 3-race day, which is different than what it was in the past. You have the NASCAR Mexico non-points race. You have the one and only last chance qualifying race. And then you have the Busch Clash. And that's what it was being billed at, as a 1 day of racing. And then people got all bent out of shape because, I don't know, they suddenly decided they like practice. They don't watch it at any other track we go to, but they want to watch it there. And never was the ticket advertised as being anything other than Sunday. So so they've now opened the doors for Saturday to people to watch the heat races. I'll be counting to see how many people show up so I can tell everyone on Twitter to see if everybody who complained showed up and bought a ticket, or didn't buy a ticket, just showed up. But I think that was part of the effort, was to kind of condense it to make it a little bit more viable, and less expensive, so to speak. And I think that's a good idea. I mean, to me, it was a good idea. I thought. I mean, you get to see 3 races in 1 day on the short track, and I don't know what the excitement of watching the heat races really is, or 8-minute practices. But I guess we'll find out.
And Machine Gun Kelly.
Well, that's Sunday though.
Yeah.
Yeah, not Saturday.
That's just 3 races and Machine Gun Kelly.
Yeah, 3 races and Machine Gun Kelly.
There you go. Don't forget Machine Gun Kelly.
Sorry, you're right. That's even bigger.
That's right. Absolutely. I mean, pie in the sky then, assuming that this doesn't stay at the LA Coliseum more than, if it stays there past this year, more than a couple more years, Dustin, what do you think happens to this event down the road?
Yeah, that's the thing, is I don't know what the alternative is, because I mean, we've seen it at Daytona. We haven't seen the next gen car at Daytona on, for an exhibition race like this, but I don't know. I mean, it was at Daytona for so long. It feels right at Daytona, but also I like the idea of moving it around into a big market, rotating it, as Jim mentioned. But two, it's also February, when it's run early February. So you're limited, your markets are kind of limited in where you can run it in warm weather, where the weather cooperates. For instance, I brought up the Meadowlands earlier. Well, I'm a Central New Yorker, and it's snowing here.
Not in February.
Yeah, not in February. So yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how this develops over the next 6 to 8 months or so.
Jim, what do you think? What would be the ultimate goal?
Well, one thing I forgot to mention before is we're forgetting one very important partner, which is television.
Yeah,
sure.
A lot of this is also connected to Fox, and they love this, in part because of where it is, and also they're have a big role and are excited about the NASCAR Mexico race being part of it this year. So I think that plays an important role in it. I don't think it's going to go back to Daytona. If anything, I think they utilize it to showcase the sport in places that is not normally, in the future anyway, and that maybe don't get to see NASCAR. And I think basically I think they're going to try to do a stadium type thing, maybe a little bit bigger stadium, maybe outside the country. It's the Clash. It doesn't have to be the weekend before Daytona. I mean, really, there's nothing set that says it has to be the weekend before Daytona. It could be the last weekend, late in January or something. I mean, there's a lot of flexibility there because it's non-points. So I think anything's possible.